Hi, Paula. Good to see you again.
Hi, Emma. How you doing?
Good. So I will jump right in and kick us off. I think we can kick off with quick intros. I'm Emma Mondolino. I run Nextdoor Create at Nextdoor. For anyone that's not aware of what Nextdoor is, we are the neighborhood network. We're a hub for trusted connections and the exchange of helpful information, goods, and services. To break down what that means in layman's terms, we connect you to everything happening in your neighborhood, whether that is looking for recommendations on the best dry cleaner, asking for help if you can't leave your home to have someone bring you something, or finding the occasional lost dog or announcing a wild animal in your backyard. We are here for all of it. Paula, I'll hand it over to you just to give a quick intro and what you do at Boots.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So I am Paula Bobbitt. I am e-commerce director here at Boots. I'm really here, I guess, to drive our online business, but also support Boots in our digital transformation.
Which you're doing very well. I'll jump into a handful of questions and just kick us off a bit broadly, because I think e-commerce has been not only a hot topic, but an evolving topic over the past couple of years. So what have you seen shift over the past couple of years? Maybe some of the things that felt like they were meant to be fleeting and now seem like they're sort of permanent staples in the e-com space.
Yeah, I mean, the pace of change, I think, of e-commerce over the last 2 years is phenomenal. I think I read somewhere that it's something like 10 years of innovation in the space of about 1 or 2. So huge change. Certainly for us, the distribution of products and services is becoming increasingly more important. Boots is the number one retailer in the UK of health and beauty. Over the pandemic, we tripled our volume effectively. And so supply chain, whereas it's always been important, suddenly become more important than ever, and particularly, for convenience and immediacy. We put a huge amount of investment into our supply chain, both through automation and technology, but also using our stores as mini warehouses to effectively pick our products. Over Christmas, we have 78 stores operating as mini hybrids, and they pick something like 35,000 orders per day, which is absolutely phenomenal. So supply chain, convenience and immediacy, that need to get that product when and where you want it, never been more important. I think there's also, the shift towards e-commerce more as an experience rather than a transaction. So we've certainly seen the importance of being able to do things like virtual masterclasses, virtual consultations, be able to bring that advice that you'd typically get in store onto your e-commerce site. And then clearly the importance of just having a really fantastic experience. That's not going away.
It's incredible when we think about how much is involved and how much has happened. I just think there's always a shout out to essential workers, the many folks that were working your stores and warehouses for that matter, but also everybody involved. And I'm sure building all of these systems online to keep up with that, because it's just tremendous. You had mentioned initially when we chatted as well that I believe 90% of all Boots stores are within 10 minutes of your customers. So delivery and pickup times continue to get faster, and you had an amazing opportunity to really run with that, given what you were saying and how you use stores and connecting people to what they needed from the site. There's also a partnership with Deliveroo that's been going on to help facilitate that delivery. And so I think you said it kicked off in August and has been seeing some great success. Could we chat a little bit more about how that came to be and what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the pandemic definitely taught us the importance of convenience and immediacy. And we have over 2,200 stores from Boots in the UK. And as you said, like 90% of them within 10 minutes of our customers. What that really gives us from a delivery perspective is a fantastic opportunity to get those products into the hands of our customers, sometimes within 20 minutes. So initially, we've started with 14 stores. What we've seen as surpassed our expectations in terms of customers wanting to get those things. I think largely helped by the fact that, if you're unwell and you can't go out, or if you've got sick children, suddenly we can get the medicines into your hands, in 20 minutes, which is amazing. We started initially with about 400 products, mainly sort of in the healthcare and baby space. But actually, as we've seen, the partnership progress, we've now arranged over 700 products. And there's, some interesting things in there. It's generally your immediate needs, so cough, cold, stomach, bowel. But we're also starting to see, last minute gifting creep in there. So particularly over Valentine's, where people maybe haven't bought their fragrances, it's a great opportunity to get it into the hands of those who maybe forgot to make their purchase. We're so happy with it that we're looking at, how do we then roll that out further and really scale it. At that point, we then have national coverage across the UK. And I think, that's a really phenomenal step forwards for the convenience for our customers.
There are a lot of things from the pandemic that I'm not excited we are keeping, but I am very excited about that convenience factor. I feel like there is so much things like getting medications or picking up things that were essential that you needed. And now companies like yours that are making it much easier to get just the ordinary things that we want brought over on a regular basis, I think is great. So I'm very, very glad that those trends are sticking around. On our end, we saw something sort of similar where something that felt essential, we had something called a help map, and people could mark if they were available to give help to their surrounding neighbors. And it felt like a very essential tool to have. And then as time went on and we kind of settled into our new normal, we found people were asking more often for help on printing or asking if anyone was around for a walk, much more so than picking up medications and things, because you realize the opportunities you have and the convenience. So I'm glad to hear we're going from just things like meds to a little bit more fun on holidays. On a little bit of a more serious note, for some other partnerships, you also recently announced a partnership with Recite Me having to do with accessibility, which I think is very cool. I was not familiar with Recite Me before, so perhaps you can tell us a bit about them and how you're working together.
Yeah, so I think we are the UK's first retailer to have accessibility tools on the website. We are passionate in Boots about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Boots is for everyone. And what this allows our customers to do is to go onto the website and change, whether it be the language, the font, the colour, effectively adapt the whole experience to what they need. And so it's all, I guess, supports all kinds of neurodiversity. And it's really, the first step towards making ourselves as accessible as possible. And we also have initiatives in the background around diversity and inclusion for suppliers. We are really passionate about, making Boots the place for everyone to go.
I love injecting little tidbits of my personal life that everyone may or may not be interested in, but this felt like an appropriate small tidbit. My father-in-law is colorblind. I gave him a Lego set that I thought was a phenomenal gift over the holidays. He spent hours labeling bags with saying what colors each piece was that his wife had to help him with. And it did not occur to me what a process this would be versus fun. So I think accessibility is huge and something that we miss and don't think about. And we think we've made these sites so easy because now we've given people the tools, but there is really a missing step in so many different ways. And so thinking about that, I think is great. And I think is probably going to help set a precedent and trend amongst the entire industry, which we'll need to do more and more of as we keep being more connected. And then
completely agree with you, Emma.
Yeah. For my father-in-law, if no one else, to make sure that he can play with his games. And for these partnerships, how are they playing into your goals? I imagine your goals in 2022 are still not as normal or as easy to plan for as you thought 2 years ago, but how are you setting goals and how are these partnerships playing into those?
Yeah, I think, the acceleration of pace of e-commerce does mean that where you naturally have gaps, it's easier then to partner with someone to fill those gaps. So, delivery is a great example where we want to be really convenient on delivery, and actually they're a fantastic partner for us. I think the other thing that it opens for us as well is being able to tap into new customer segments and new markets. And definitely we're very much on a journey of how do we start to bring in the younger consumer. We're a 175-year-old business, and so actually attracting that younger customer set is really, really important to us, partly through actually bringing on things like new brands. We've recently introduced Revolution, and we've also brought back our iconic 17. In fact, launched online last week and in stores only a couple of days ago, and that's really driving traction with that sort of 18 to 25-year-old age group. And we're also, using that to reach out to customers in different ways and talk to them in different ways. The other thing, I guess, that's always still going to be on the agenda is supply chain. So we've talked about delivery and the convenience there. We're also looking at how do we get to a really compelling collection proposition. We're very much about the democratization of premium beauty. So, for example, you can get your Fenty in Padstow from us without having to travel to like the major cities in order to do it. So I think our goals in terms of having a great site experience is still the same, and lots to do in that space, but really tapping much more into convenience and immediacy, and they're really starting to leverage the strength of our omni-channel business. As I said, from a supply chain perspective, that was really powerful for us over the pandemic, but there's more that we can do in that space to really make it a seamless experience for our customers.
Yeah, and I think the younger demographic piece is one that keeps growing. Talk about a group that likes convenience and wants things to keep up with them. They are it. We actually found in a recent study we published an insight series on a quarterly basis, and we saw that over a third of the 18 to 34-year-old group in the UK specifically is really looking to brands to help them improve their skills. So there are many things that brands need to do. They need to help us save the world. They need to be convenient, and they also need to be giving us new skills. And I think you're checking all those boxes. In addition to bringing on some of the brands like 17, you also early on mentioned hosting masterclasses and looking to integrate into sort of helping these connections and allowing people to have more opportunities to learn. Can you tell us a little bit more about those and what types of masterclasses there are?
Yeah, I mean, certainly our vision for Boots is to bring, I guess, what we see as the convenience of our stores and the expertise in our stores onto our online business. So we've started with sort of these virtual masterclasses. So brands will come on and present about their products, how to typically, apply those products. And that's really opened it up to an audience to be able to connect with those brands, but also connect with us in terms of the expertise that we can leverage. We also have that from an in-store perspective. So we have over 800 Boots beauty specialists who can offer that advice. And what we're working on as a sort of a next step is then how do we bring those in to be able to do proper virtual consultations online. We did that on a small way over the pandemic, so particularly with number 7. So you could have a consultation with a number 7 consultant who would recommend the right products for you. But we want to expand that out, and make that a really big part of what we do. There's also, beyond the beauty space, what we want to do from a healthcare perspective. So we've recently launched our new online health hub. We also have Boots Online Doctor, which allows customers to connect and get advice without actually having to visit their GP, and get their medications delivered to their door. So there's very much a focus on how do we leverage that expertise digitally, and obviously talk to our consumers in a very different way.
And do you think that that's also helping with not only tapping into what we heard from our younger demos of what they need, but also helping you to differentiate from some of the larger companies? I feel like Amazon is a beast and is just taking over everywhere. But I think that is something that only you can do in 175-year-old brand. You have a few years on them to be able to think through what the customer is really looking for. Is that part of how you guys are thinking about this, and any other ways that you're trying to differentiate and stand out?
Yeah, I definitely think there are something like 75% of women in the UK have an Advantage card. So in terms of access to that customer data, what they're doing, how they're shopping, that's a huge strength for us, and the first party data that we have from that is incredible in terms of being able to start to personalize those journeys. So personalization will be a key part of that differentiation. And then to your point, having a stores business as well as an online business means that we can really leverage the strength of omni-channel. So whether that be through our online consultations, our online doctor, our health hub advice, really bringing that in-store experience into the online experience so that we move away from being transactional and for somewhere that people will go to seek advice, which we know that they can't get through other pure players. And that also then taps into, that real convenience piece. Yes, Amazon is very, very convenient, but Amazon can't, deliver to their customers in 20 minutes. So I think we're really trying to take the strength of our stores and translate that into how do we build a really strong online business as well.
I think it's brilliant. There are many things that Amazon can do, but they do miss that piece. And I think it's great to see how we're all trying to innovate and work around that. And so I think these are a slew of really incredible partnerships that you guys have come up with and thought through, especially given launching that many brands in store and how much you set up over the past couple of years. In addition to all of those things, I think some of your team in the background has also been working on building a pretty killer app. When we chatted, you had mentioned that 20% of your online sales are actually coming through the app, which is phenomenal and a really incredible metric. It means the app must be up and firing. Talk to us about the app. What can you do on it? And why do you think you've seen such success in the conversion space there?
Yeah, I mean, the app has definitely been the star of the pandemic and probably actually surpassed our expectations in terms of performance. Part of that is obviously driven by our loyalty card. And what we're really looking to do is to bring that loyalty card, I guess, more into the modern space. So we launched Price Advantage in stores in January, so that allows you to get discounted prices based on usage of the Advantage card. We're bringing that omni-channel in the next few months. So that will really give even more reasons to use that app. We have a really strong slew of digital offers. Those are personalised to customer type as well. So you know that you can go on there and get the best deals on the products that you want to buy. Our sort of future evolution of that, we've already invested in making it a lot faster. So we're 75% faster than we were. Still more to do in that space, but making that a really great experience. And then our ultimate vision is it becomes the digital front door to Boots. So we start to bring in more of our online doctor, more appointment booking. We start to use it to really connect the physical and the digital. So our sort of future plans involve being able to scan and go. I guess really turning it into, our ambition is to be like the best UK high street app. And we already have a really loyal customer base on there, so it feels like a huge opportunity to really develop that out further.
Yeah. How originally were you helping drive awareness to the app? Because I feel like there's the loyalty program sounds like it's one of the main factors, and that would certainly drive me there. I love a sale and a discount, but are there other ways that you were helping promote the app? Was that part of an omni-channel strategy?
Yeah, it's certainly something we're encouraging our advisors to do in store. So that's definitely one of the reasons to do it. We're also investing heavily in the App Store and making sure that we're optimized in that space as well. We do a lot through our paid search activity to really drive awareness there, and obviously we promote it on the website. The other thing that we've been doing quite a lot recently as well is starting to really drive exclusive sales. And so if you're an app owner, for example, you could have got access to 17 before the rest of the general population a day early. And we're doing the same thing with some of the new brand launches to really encourage usage and stickiness of the app.
Smart. And I feel like we have covered on so many different things that you guys have already jumped into. But one of the final questions I wanted to ask you is any upcoming trends that you've seen and are excited about? I think both directly within your business or things that you may have seen pop up around the industry, just as we are still early on and still a ways to go and things to see this year.
Yeah, I think social commerce is going to be absolutely huge. And it's a very different way, I think, for e-commerce directors to think about their business. Traditionally, it's always been about capturing person onto your website and being able to convert them there. Now, there's a whole slew of marketplaces that you need to be present in. And we're very much in the space of being present where our customers are present. So social commerce is going to be a really big one for us. We're already doing things like for the 17 launch, we worked really closely with Tilly Ramsey. She effectively was streaming to her 10.2 million followers on TikTok and interviewing people as we did the launch. So we're starting to tap into that space. But our eventual is that we want to be where people are shopping, so that when they have that impulse to purchase, we are there right away. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you come to our website to do it. Similarly, for things like the new payment providers, so Klarna and ClearPay, again, those are great marketplaces where you tap into a new consumer and generally a younger consumer. So that's definitely something we'll be focusing on going forwards. The other thing for us is around sustainability. Really pleasingly, in December, we actually achieved plastic free on boots.com. I think, this space is going to be huge. We removed over 157 tons of plastic from our products. So I think that as a trend going forwards as well is going to be something that, that we really, really focus on.
That's really great. I think both of those trends, I feel like sustainability has been coming up so much, and there's a real pressure for all of us to do our part. I am always amazed because I feel like those stats and having done that much already and then believe that there's still so much more to do is really incredible. And on the social commerce front, I feel like that will inevitably be the buzzword of this year and likely next year. It just feels like there is so much opportunity. And when we think about convenience and skill sets and all of those pieces, there's just so much that can be done. I think where one of the last questions I'll leave with is just, are there any places where you are learning about social commerce or tapping into folks? You mentioned TikTok. I've spent most of my career in the social space. I imagine you're getting some inputs from some of the platforms and helping to get some learnings from them. I think probably for most folks that are dialed in here, it's just such a major topic. Are there places that you've found that have been really helpful in helping you navigate the space and learning more about social commerce?
Yeah, we actually had a day a few weeks ago where we actually got all of the platforms to come in and present to us about, what's up and coming, what their vision is, where they're going to. We had TikTok, we had Facebook, we had Instagram. And I think, that was an amazing way just to learn, A, kind of what space they're in now, but B, where they're going to and how we should tap into that. I think, attending things like this is also really helpful in terms of just being able to learn more about what's going on. And that's the great thing about e-commerce. You're always learning, things are always changing. The next big thing I think will be the metaverse. And there's a lot more learning I need to do about that as well.
Oh, me too. I think I've just finally wrapped my head around what an NFT is. But I'm happy that that's a little bit outside of the realm that we both live in, so that I can focus on words like social commerce that I can understand and know how to pronounce. I think that was about everything that I had. I feel like we've tapped into such a massive array, and there's so many exciting things coming for you this year. Deanna, I don't know if there is a way to turn on the chat, if there's anything that's come in that we can answer from the group in our last 5 or so minutes.
Haven't seen any questions coming in, but I actually have a question myself. And by the way, thank you both. That was a great session and a lot of interesting learnings there. I'm curious, as you guys talk about social commerce, where, what kind of consumer feedback you're looking at and how that will play into how you adapt, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, I guess there's a bit of the on-site stuff, which is just, the reviews and how those play out and how they use that information to help drive a conversion, but also what we do from a sort of a product perspective. What we've definitely seen with TikTok is just really the power of those trending products. So, when we launched Sky High Maybelline, it launched in the US first before it launched in the UK. And actually, just off the back of the US TikTok, we saw a huge volume of traffic coming into our site. So there's a real need to respond in real time to what you're seeing from a trend perspective. I think there's a lot about how you start to respond in terms of the social space around, Facebook. We do have a team in Boots who respond to those comments, but it's becoming even more important to do that in a more real-time way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think platform side, while I think similar to some of the comparisons of Amazon earlier, Nextdoor is of course a smaller player, but I think interestingly, we clearly look at the different trends like social commerce that are coming up too. And I think that, I imagine if we're doing it, other platforms are as well. I think looking into how people have engaged with social platforms over the past 5-10 years and how that's evolved, and then thinking through what are the products we have to build, what's the research that we have to do, where will we need brand partners like Paula and Boots to help us to find out. We can put out different products and tools and initiatives, but are they working? There's no way for us to know that without the actual brand side of it. So I think there's also potential for a really interesting wave of learning together, I think, where we truly need each other. It goes far beyond advertising over the past 12 months or so. So I imagine there will be a lot of joint learning that we have to do together.
Yeah, I bet. And I think that it's just interesting to see how brands are listening and trying to hear and understand, like, break through what data is valuable and what data, there's a lot, because you break through that, and what can you learn from your consumers, and how will that help you shape your products and services? I think that's just a continual conversation that many brands that I'm talking to are having.
Yeah, I think as well, it's that, how do you then get access to the data? So we're putting a huge amount of focus on, how do you collect first party data? How do you, start to be able to track social when you don't have the cookies anymore? There's a huge amount of work in that space as well, around connecting all of the dots together. We're lucky because we do have the Advantage card, and that allows us to collect a lot of that information. But as we sort of build out our website, all of the tools we're putting in place, but also thinking about how do we use that information, how do we capture it, how do we then use that to drive more personalized experiences, whether it be on-site or off-site.
And I guess there's, Paula, I was trying to make sure we had time for questions, but folks are being quiet. So Dan, I'll sneak in one more, which is just, how do you measure? I think that you touched on a great point in terms of going into a cookieless world. How are you looking at measuring success this year?
Yeah, it's it's definitely more challenging than it was a few years ago, I guess. We're building, I suppose, a lot of partnerships actually to really help with that. So we've got partnerships with some of our media providers. We've got APIs from Facebook. We're effectively trying to stitch everything back together again, so that we can measure it in the right way. But it's certainly challenging now to know as much about your social performance as you did previously, when you can't measure every single interaction. So a lot of it is almost doing our own stitching together in order to measure it in the most effective way.
Another place for lots of evolution, lots to look forward to.
Yeah, and thank you again, both of you, for being here. Paula, I loved hearing how you guys are keeping the advances from the pandemic and what the innovations, because obviously the convenience of being able to order medicine when you're sick and having it that conveniently available to you with delivery is a game changer.